Peter wakes up to the annoying beep of his alarm clock. Rubbing his eyes, he swings his feet from the side of his bed and sat up, stretching out his sore aching body. "Peter!" he hears yelling from outside his door. "Ugh," Peter grunts, "coming." He places his hands on the end of his fraying mattress and pushes himself up, trying to orient himself. Whatever, he thinks. Don't really care about what he's going to say anyway. Looking outside, Peter scans the barren savannah, the same dumb view he's always used to. Outside, he spots tired, slaving men working in the fields, kids running and chasing after one another, and women carrying water back home from the well. As Peter opens the door to his living room, he sees his mom slouched over a pot, yawning as she stirs some type of gray mush. She grasps her long, stringy hair and tucks it behind her ear. To the right is the living room, was his father polishing his hunting rifle that he had purchased some time ago. "What's that for?" Peter yawns as he gestures to the gun. "None of your business," his dad replies. "Why are you up so late?" "What do you mean?" Peter says as he glances at the clock. It was 9 a.m. He was supposed to be in school. "Whatever," Peter shrugs and he begins to turn around. "Whatever?" Peter snaps his head back towards his father. "Really, Peter? I worked so hard to get what we have, and now you can't even go to school? Why is it so important though? I mean, it won't help. The only jobs in our village are to farm," Peter asked. "Yeah, but if you try in school unlike I did, you won't have to stay in our damn village." "Sure," Peter says sarcastically as he reaches for his bag. "Maybe I'll become a doctor or a millionaire." As Peter sits down for breakfast, he notices an envelope spelling out the words "Father Notice" in big letters on the front. "When are you going to pay the bills?" he asks his dad. His dad doesn't reply, but only grunts at the question. Sighing, Peter finishes his breakfast and heads out of the house. During Peter's walk down the same dusty, broken road towards his school, he starts wondering about what his dad told him. But why is going to school that important, he wondered to himself. I mean, everyone here just grows up, becomes a farmer or factory worker, and just lives out the same dull, boring life. I don't know. All of a sudden, Peter's thoughts are interrupted by a small wailing noise coming from his left. Following the noise, he spots a small dog laying down in a pile of mud. As Peter walks towards the dog, it starts whimpering and fiercely moving its paws as if it's trying to get away from him. "Shh, shh, it's okay, I'm not going to hurt you," Peter gently whispers. The dog gives out one last cry and lays down on the ground, as if accepting its fate. Peter then quietly walked towards the dog, scoops it under his arms, and saw that one of its paws were missing. Looking down, he says, "I'm sorry, buddy," and carries him home. She nodded her head. Sadly, Peter puts the cup down when abruptly, a police siren began wailing outside. "What is it this time?" his mom grumbled. Peter stands up and walks to the front door. "I'll check it out," he says. Once outside, Peter sees a man on the back of a black pickup truck with a speakerphone. "Oh, wow," Peter said. Slumping his head, he turned to where his sick mother and half-working house awaited him. Later that night, Peter stands at the dishwasher cleaning dishes while his mom sits in the corner of the room, tending to their dog. Looking outside, Peter only sees pitch black, with a bright moon shining in the distance. He guesses it was around 10 p.m. Peter's relieved, but he kept on thinking about the man had said earlier. "White rhinos, endangered, 5, he murmurs to himself as he wipes his hands on a rag. But why doesn't anyone know about them, he thinks. I mean, if there's only 5 left. Suddenly, the rickety door flies open as a cold breeze fills the house. As Peter looks past the door, he sees what looks like a huge shadow form from the light streaming out of his house. As the shadow walks closer, it forms into a shape of his father. His shaggy hair, a loose shirt, and a rifle over his shoulder. However, he also had a large bag hanging over his right shoulder, with an odd shape protruding from the side. "How were the fields?" Peter's mom asks from across the room. "Huh?" his father replied as if thrown off by the question. It was fine." Peter eyes the bag in the corner of the room as if there was something really important in it. His dad notices his focus and traces his eyes to the bag. "What are you looking at?" his father replied lividly. Nothing," Peter said, thrown back by the anger of his father's voice. "What do you do at school?" Peter replies as he sprints to the room and locks the door. Later that night, Peter lies in his bed awake. He can't seem to sleep. He was just thinking about that bag and ponders what could be in it. "I'm gonna find out," he mutters to himself as he bounces a tennis ball against the wall. Then, Peter had a plan. A bad plan, but a plan. Early in the morning, when no one else was awake, he would go and find it. Peter wakes up with a jolt as he kicks the foot of his bed. He groans as he looks over his loud alarm clock. 1:03 a.m. it read. Good, he thinks. I stopped time. Slowly he crept out of his room and into the living room. Peter spots the bag in the left corner of the room and sprints to it, thinking about what he was going to uncover. He sprinted the last few steps and tore open the bag. However, as he opens it, he sees nothing inside. Disappointedly, Peter turns around and starts heading back to his room when he begins to hear barking from the couch. He spots the dog he rescued earlier and said, "Shit, they're gonna hear me." Quickly, Peter runs to the dog and covers its mouth as it excitedly wags its tail. Peter then grabs the rest of the excited dog's body and it starts calming down. Suddenly, the dog escapes from Peter's hands and burrows itself into the sofa cushions. "Come on," Peter exclaims as he dives his hands after the dog. He chases the dog with his hand until he can no longer reach and gives up, slouching back on the couch. Curiously, Peter hears the dog under the couch as it drags something out. Then he saw it. It's a really big tooth. No, it's too large to be any tooth, he thinks. And it doesn't have any of the weird spikes on the other end, it's just flat. Wait, he thinks, could this be? Suddenly, Peter knew what he was looking at. "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh," he repeated to himself over and over as he crawled under the legs of his bed, grasping Horn with his hands and body. "But what will I do?" he thinks to himself. "What do I do with this thing?" Then he thinks of the black van and a truck on it, and he gets an idea. He quietly slips on his shoes, a backpack, t-shirt, and jeans and heads out of his house to try and find the man. He thought if anyone knew how to fix this, it was him. Peter walks along the quiet, dusty street as crickets and all other types of animals chirp in the background. As Peter kept on walking further and further away from his phone, he began to doubt himself. "What am I doing?" he thinks. "I'm just a kid. I don't even know where I'm going to go. No one's already cut off. Can I really do anything about it? I'm going to get lost. Maybe I should turn back." "No," he thinks to himself. "I won't do that. I'll keep on going." And so he did. Peter kept on walking and walking until he felt the sun rub up on his back of his neck and the chirping insect was replaced with the yelling of people. But then he found it. Parked in the back corner of a rundown police station was the truck. He had found it. He had found the truck. He sprinted across to the front of the station and stopped. He thinks for a second. But what about all the money? Who's going to support my family and what's going to happen? He thinks. No, I can do it. I can find a job and I can't let my dad get away with this. With that, Peter walks straight to the front door. Inside, he sees the speaking man, now dressed more formally, talking with an officer. He couldn't tell every word what they're speaking, but he knew they were talking about the Rhinos. "Excuse me," Peter asks. Later, the officer bluntly replied, "But I know about the Rhinos. I think I can help." "Yeah? How?" "Well, I found the missing horn," he says, pulling the horn out. "And who'd cut it off?" There was a silence.